Joining me once again today. Pardon my absence yesterday. I was trying to put the pieces of the puzzle together. Occasionally I need a break in order to do that because I only like to make videos like this when I feel like I have something unique to contribute to the conversation and I'm not just reading the news to you guys. So let's see what I came up with. Now, the title, I know it sounds a little sensational, but it's 100% true. The United States is sending some upgraded nuclear weapon systems fast-tracked to Europe, namely the UK, by December. This wasn't supposed to happen until next year, but it's being expedited for a variety of reasons that we're going to talk about, and it doesn't look good, to say the least. So they're fast-tracking the delivery of B-6112 nuclear bombs to Europe by December. These are dial-a-yield, satellite-guided gravity bombs that can range from 0.3 kilotons, which is relatively small, but still a very large explosion, to a whopping, I think it's like 300 kilotons. So this is still considered tactical, believe it or not. Obviously, tactical is very subjective. Hiroshima was 15 kilotons. These bombs can go all the way up to 300 kilotons, but down to 0.3 kilotons. Now, this is so significant because this coincides with the loosening of the U.S. nuclear doctrine. The United States Department of Defense came out with their nuclear posture report a few days ago, an 80-page document, which basically altered their nuclear doctrine and their first use policy. Before, it was such that the United States would not initiate a first strike on a nuclear or non-nuclear country, and that they had this no first use policy. Well, that now is basically out the window, and they're saying that this is the result of the range of non-nuclear capabilities of the adversary, likely in the form of electromagnetic pulse and dirty bombs, if you will, and probably a variety of other cyber security related stuff. So they're not ruling out the preemptive use of nuclear weapons. Now, this coincides with the fact that Britain, if you didn't know, is on the brink of war with Russia, because according to some allegations that were made by the Russians, if they turn out to be correct, then I think it's only a matter of time before we see a kinetic exchange between Russia and Britain. And we all know what that means. That means World War III. Now, consider that the Russians are making the allegation that it was in fact the British Navy that not only orchestrated and coordinated, but actually perpetrated the attacks on Nord Stream. The Nord Stream pipeline, one of the biggest infrastructural projects outside of Russia, probably the biggest. And also that they were complicit, possibly the MI6, in the bombing of the Crimean Bridge. Now, understand what that is. I don't know what the equivalent would be if that were to happen here, but it's far more, with the exception of the amount of people that died in, the trade towers, the World Trade Center attacks. This is on that level, because you need to understand that a country attacking a nation's critical infrastructure like that is essentially a declaration of war. It's no longer a proxy conflict that's taking place on the battleground of Ukraine. It's an act of war, and if the Russians choose to view it that way, then all of this nuclear posturing with the exercises that are ongoing, the bomb shelter provisioning that Moscow is currently undertaking across the country. We're seeing this happen in many countries across Europe, where they're literally getting ready. I mean, you even have Liz Truss, the story just came out today, that says that she was obsessed with weather reports in her final days as prime minister, fearing that Putin would do a nuke test that could send radiation to the UK. Now, I'm sure that story, which is being parroted by many news sources today, is slightly blown out of proportion. She probably said something about nuclear radiation in passing, and then they blew it up to, mean her obsessing about it. Regardless, we know that there's all these maneuvers happening in many countries across Europe that indicate that they're preparing for a nuclear confrontation. And you even have the chief of the British Army, recall Patrick Sanders, just a few months ago, the newly anointed chief had told his troops that they must prepare to fight in Europe once again, that they need to prepare to part ways with their family members in order to fight the Russians. and that there was a burning imperative to forge an army capable of fighting alongside our allies and defeat Russia in battle. So I don't even know how the UK, if the Russians are 100%.
I want to talk about some troubling discrepancies that I've seen from the CDC. These are things that have happened over the last week and they just keep sticking with me. So I want to talk about them. First up, a discrepancy between what the CDC director told ABC News and what was revealed at a CDC meeting later that week. This is the ABC News headline. I'm going to show it right here on the screen. It says, with nearly 5 million children getting COVID vaccines, no safety problems have been seen, CDC director says. This is dated December 10th. And that is the ABC News headline. But let me read you the article for fear that the headline mischaracterizes the piece. It says this: with nearly 5 million children aged 5 to 11 now vaccinated against COVID-19, CDC Director Rochelle Walensky says real-world monitoring finds vaccines are safe for young children. Crucially, the CDC hasn't identified any concerns with a temporary heart inflammation known as myocarditis, a potential side effect of mRNA vaccines seen in rare circumstances in teens and young adults. We haven't seen anything yet, Walensky told ABC News chief medical correspondent Dr. Jennifer Ashton in a rare in-person interview from CDC headquarters in Atlanta. We have an incredibly robust vaccine safety system, and if so, if problems were there, we would find it. This is what the article says. Now, of course, myocarditis has been well documented in the ages 12 to 40, but particularly in that subgroup of 16 to 24, boys more than girls, Moderna more than Pfizer. This is something that many people are concerned about. It's a real safety signal. And the reason it's important is that it occurs more often on dose 2 than dose 1. And there might be a way to deliver vaccines to many people to preserve the benefit of vaccination, but to mitigate the harms, to try to vaccinate in a way with perhaps a different dosing schedule, as I've talked about in a prior video, perhaps a different dose to actually have less myocarditis, but as much efficacy as you could possibly have. Now, naturally, when the 5 to 11 EUA came out, people were concerned that that safety signal will also be present in the younger age group. We didn't know for sure, of course. Myocarditis, of course, mostly a post-pubescent phenomenon, but people worried that it might be there in the prepubescent group. And so, naturally, you would want the CDC director to tell you accurately what they see and what they don't see. And on December 10th, this is what she said. And so I thought to myself, wow, 5 million people, not a single case, that's good news. And if anything, it might be a little bit too good to be true, but it's good. And a lot of people went forward saying that there's absolutely no safety signal seen here in 5 million cases. That's the usual Twitter sort of incorrect expert take. And some people privately told me that let's hang back a little bit until we get some more data and we could see the data. Then on December 16th at the CDC meeting to discuss what we're going to do with J&J, they presented information on myocarditis to VAERS among children aged 5 to 11. And this is what they report. I'm going to show you the slide right here. This is from the CDC's own slide. And it actually says on this slide, as of December 10th, 2021, the same date the CDC director is talking to ABC News, doses administered, 7.1 million. As of December 9th, the day before, 3,233 reports to the VAERS among children aged 5 to 11. There are 14 reports of myocarditis. 5 reports follow-up is in progress. 9 reports have information obtained. 8 reports met CDC working case definition for myocarditis. That's in bold. That's their bold, not my bold. 4 men, 4 female. 4 male, 4 female. After dose 1, 2 cases. After dose 2, 6 cases. 1 report under review. And then the next slide. This describes in detail the cases. Patient number 1 was 6 years old, male, chest pain, elevated troponins, you can see on the screen. Patient number 2, Female, 7 years old, chest pain, elevated troponins, normal EKG and echo, still recovering at the time of report. Patient number 3, 8 years old, onset, 2 days. Dose number 2, chest pain, elevated troponins, symptoms resolved. Patient number 4, a 9-year-old male, chest pain, elevated troponins, and the list goes on and on. Now, what is going on here? What is going on? There are many things we can debate. One thing we can debate is this rate of myocarditis higher than baseline? Well, because of course there's some baseline rate of myocarditis all the time. The answer is, I don't know for sure based on these numbers, but I suspect that when you have a safety signal you've already identified in other ages, and you're starting to see this with sort of this classic pattern, this classic few days after dose 2 pattern, elevated troponins, I think it will likely be attributable to a vaccine. That's not going to be a surprise. The next question is this the rate that's going to emerge? Is it really only going to be 14 cases out of 7 million? And the answer is no. This is early in a passive surveillance system. The rate will change over time. I don't know what the rate will be. I personally think it will likely be the case that 16 to 24 has the peak rate. So I don't think it'll be as high as that. That's just a guess. But I think there will be some rate here. But put all that aside. What is going on with the CDC director's statement to ABC News? When she was talking to ABC, she said specifically, we have an incredibly robust safety system, and if problems were there, we would find it. And quote, we haven't seen anything yet. But she had their own analysis with a data halt 1 day before. Is she not aware of the analysis? Does she not know what analyses are being performed in the CDC? That's not going to be good. Or is she aware of it and somehow incorrectly characterizing it to the news, which is also not good. But either way, whatever the explanation is, this is not good. No, who is going to trust this person again when you are getting caught lying? And that's the word for it, because I don't know what else is going on. Either you didn't know or you knew and you were deliberately saying that, but either way, what you're saying was untrue. It was untrue at the time you said it. And it matters a great deal. Actually, it's not a trivial matter. It's a sensitive matter that people are very sensitive about naturally. And people want to know the actual signals, safety signals. And people debated this for a long period of time. They've debated it for many months because the benefits to kids of that age group are going to be smaller and the risks are going to be much more salient and relevant. And so what am I to think about this CDC director? I don't like this at all. I got to be careful how I put it, but I think it's absolutely unacceptable. People are concerned about this. You can say, I don't know. I haven't seen anything, but they're running the analysis right now. No one has told me yet, but we're running the analysis. But to have this contradiction in a short period of time absolutely loses all credibility. And it's devastating. I think that credibility is sunk. Next thing I want to say, this wasn't the only story that caught my eye. There was another story in Bloomberg. And also, maybe I'll show the Axios report. It's called CDC Overcounts Millions of Vaccinations. And it basically says that over the last week, they have lowered the percent vaccinated among the 65 and older cohort who have received at least one shot from 99.9%, where it had been for weeks, to 95% without changing any raw shot totals. And people say, Illinois, Pennsylvania, West Virginia found overcounting of first shots in their database. Pennsylvania says, according to Bloomberg, the CDC estimates of first doses exceed state estimates by 850,000. Illinois had more than 500,000 completely unvaccinated people than initially thought.
Hello, I'm JP Sears. Welcome to my JP Reacts channel. If you love freedom, you're in the right place. If you don't like freedom, you're probably going to get triggered, but stay, go. I don't really give a damn. But with that said, welcome to my reaction channel. This is where we get to watch viral videos together as I call out the lies and corruption of tyrants, the absurd BS of woke culture, and I also highlight the amazing work of other freedom fighters. Today, we're going to watch a video together. This is a man on the street video by Alex Stein, where he's going around asking New Yorkers, my body, my choice, asking their thoughts. Haven't watched it. That's why you and I are going to watch it together. So let's see what we got here.
Hey, are y'all in favor of my body, my choice?
Yes.
What about vaccine mandates?
You know what? Don't even get me started with that because you know what? Over 1 million people died of it. So you know what? I don't want to hear this shit. My body, my choice. Do men carry babies for 9 months? I don't think so.
So right away, are you for my body, my choice? Oh yeah. So what about vaccines? Oh no, don't you even go there. 1 million people, like a trillion zillion people died. So my body, my choice, 100% on board, but also 0% on board with that. Same time.
I have a question. Are you in favor of my body, my choice? Yes. What about vaccine mandates?
Depends.
So get the fuck out of here, dude. That's the when someone is coming from, dare I say, mass formation psychosis, and logic is presented in that to them that skewers the propaganda that they have emotionally bought into, you're either going to have two scenarios. Either one, their logic is dismantled and they wake up and say, oh, good point. Like, let me consider that. But more commonly, they emotionally react. And the emotional reaction is to try to escape the feeling of feeling stupid for continuing to buy into something that they know isn't a principled fact. That guy was a master of it. Get the fuck out of here.
Hey, I have a question. Are you my body, my choice?
Yes.
What about vaccine mandates?
It's better for the community.
What about the baby? You don't care about the baby? That's not good for a community?
It's not conception, it's not a baby.
You sure about that?
Yeah.
The baby's not good for the community. It's not a baby. It's not a baby until it's like 27 years old.
What about you? Are you my body, my choice?
Absolutely.
Well, what about vaccine mandates?
That is a public health issue versus a personal health issue.
What about the health of the baby?
That isn't a baby.
That's not a baby?
Nope.
Really? Even though that's a heartbeat? Do you like vaccine mandates, then?
As long as
Well, what happened to my body, my choice?
I don't do well in professions.
Actually, are y'all?
She said you couldn't hear. She had a mask covering her stupid face. Forgive my judgment, but a stupid mask covering her face. I'm sure she's an intelligent person. But she said after, like, she's like in her illogical corner, she said, I don't do well under high pressure discussions. Oh, you mean you don't do well with logic? I understand. Dude, Alex Stein, I've never heard of him. I'm going to check out more of his stuff, but dude, I not only great questions and the balls it takes to be out in the street asking this, but I love his reactions. You just watch him, he's asking these people and he's laughing. It's like, what about the baby? The health of the baby doesn't matter? Dude, that's epic.
Y'all in favor of my body, my choice?
Yeah.
What about vaccine mandates? Are you guys in favor of those?
More or less. I know there's more complexity to it. Like yeah.
So you don't get to choose the vaccines, or you can choose with a dead baby? Question, are you in favor of my body, my choice?
Yes.
What about vaccine mandates? Are you in favor of vaccine mandates?
I am definitely in favor of them since I have a vaccine.
You can't answer a simple question?
Oh, please.
Oh my God. You guys can't answer a simple
I'll throw
question?
your phone on
Please
the
get
floor
away.
if you don't see
Oh, I'm so scared, bud. Abortion is murder. You're disgusting if you like abortion. Abortion's murder. I don't know if the fake news will cover this, but abortion is murder. So, yeah, but I'm just saying, abortion is murder. You're disgusting. You know that. You're killing a baby.
Man, he's got to be a born and bred New Yorker. Just his fearlessness of going up to people in the street, speaking his mind. Oh man, Alex Stein is my spirit animal now.
I'm right here. In favor of my body, my choice?
Well, this is the thing. New York City says when you're going to get a vaccine, it's not your body, it's not your choice. But then you got council members who say, my body, my choice. So they're hypocrites, you know?
You nailed it.
And so is Adam. We know Adam. Adam knows who I am.
Are you in favor of my body, my choice? What about vaccine mandates? Are you in favor of vaccine mandates?
This is not going where we want it to go.
Are you?
She's so honest. This is not going where we want it to go. Yeah, it's going to logic. You don't want it to go there. At least she's said the reality out loud.
Favor? Are you in favor? I know, but are you in favor of vaccine mandates?
Here's what we're saying. This is religious extremism in action.
You don't think it's killing babies?
No, we don't. We don't.
You don't think
We
so?
don't think it's killing babies.
Why not?
Absolutely not. Because you don't give a shit about the babies once they are born. We do not like democracy. We don't give. You don't.
So
give a
don't you think you're
shit about
hypocritical
babies.
if you're pro-vaccine mandate? You say you're my body, my choice, but you like vaccine mandates?
Oh well, women.
You can't see your hypocrisy. You see, this should be your. This is your sign. Look, this is.
See what I said earlier. There's one of two reactions, and usually emotional hysteria is the reaction someone under mass formation psychosis goes to in order to avoid feeling stupid or admitting like they're wrong, or admitting there's a big piece they haven't considered, admitting there's a big piece that they've been blind to. Dude, admitting you're wrong is so uncomfortable, but there's nothing more empowering. Dude, I love admitting when I'm wrong. That's why on my main channel, Waking with JP, I've done a video why I was wrong about guns, why I was wrong about abortions. I'm going to do other videos like that. Dude, admitting you're wrong, it's uncomfortable, but also be a man about it and realize you grow from admitting you're wrong. That's not to say this lady and her husband should agree with this guy or like there's only one way to think, but it's to say she's avoiding admitting she's wrong because she's just going into this projected emotional reaction. Very predictable.
It's her sign, hypocrisy. It's funny you carry around a sign that says hypocrisy because you are a hypocrite. See, hypocrites wear signs that say hypocrisy. So this is what a hypocrite looks like. That's why you guys carry a big sign that says hypocrite on it, because they're hypocrites. That's either my body, my choice, but they like vaccine mandates. Are you guys in favor of my body, my choice?
Yes.
What about vaccine mandates?
I mean, well, that's so true. Honestly,
That's awesome, man. I don't know any of Alex Stein's other work. I'm going to subscribe to him. In fact, subscribe right now. Alex Stein earned that, but my hat's off to you, brother, making that video. I hope you enjoyed watching the woke minds buckle under pressure. Just
go listen to all my music. It's the codes of self-esteem. It's the codes of who you are. If you're a Kanye West fan, you're not a fan of me, you're a fan of yourself. You will believe in yourself. I'm just the espresso. I'm just a shot in the morning to get you going, to make you believe that you can overcome that situation that you're dealing with all the time.
They have you in a box. You can save the world, but you are working on things that are too small. Take a step back. Stop worrying about your college, your loans. Stop worrying about what job that they got waiting for you in Silicon Valley. MIT, you can save the world. Kids in college, you can save the world. I'm putting my life on this interview right now. It's up to y'all. Y'all have the ability to just step back from what you think culture is today. It's not about any candidate. It's not about red or blue. It's about humanity. Y'all talking about is 12 years of oxygen left. Talking about we gonna kill the earth. We can't kill the earth. We gonna kill the things that keep us alive on the earth, and the earth gonna survive. It's up to y'all. Y'all the future. But what y'all working on right now?
We are following other people's opinions. We are controlled by the media. And today it all changes. We need to think how to think free. We need to be free thinkers. Then we need to learn how to feel free. People say feel free, but we don't even know how to feel free or think free. Say what you feel, positive or negative, grounded in reality. This reality has been forced upon us. It is a choice, just like when I said slavery is a choice. The reality, we can make our own reality. We can talk about history, but not too long. We need to talk about our now, because we can fix and start loving each other now.
But the thing is, we have the resources on this planet to have a human utopia, to have respect for each other, mankind. We have that. But we're too concerned about getting the next Hollywood film to Netflix. We have the resources. There's new billionaires every day. You apply the right type of thinkers, like the Elon Musk, the people with the real ideas. Like, politics is dead. It's over with. Politics, like, these kids need some type of real truth. I'm gonna stand up and I'm gonna influence, and I'm just gonna be me to the fullest. Because it's also with my approach, you know, it's a certain point of a level of like frustration, because waiting for everyone to agree may take too long. I'm not gonna sit inside of a corporation for 20 years. The time is now. The time is now to express and for people to believe in themselves. The time is now for it to be okay to be great. People in this world shun people for being great, for being a bright color, for standing out. But the time is now to be okay to be the greatest you.
Your entire life is a test. And when did you have the most anxiety in grammar school and high school?
No question.
On test day. So your entire life become this test. I ain't trying to say the right answer. I am just doing what I feel. My mama said trying is failing. There is no ifs, woulds, coulds, shoulds. It just is, and we just are. And it is so. It's simple. And this mentality should not be defeated. Yea, cannot die. Yea, cannot be buried. There is nothing. As a matter of fact, no enemy. The enemy is a concept that's out. Before I found Christ and gave my life to God, I would try to lean on my own understanding. And that's the universe is like a black hole of information.
What do you mean by your own understanding?
Meaning when people ask, Go listen to all my feel. My mama said trying is failing. There is no ifs, woulds, coulds, shoulds. It just is, and we just are. And it is so. It's simple. And this mentality should not be defeated. Yea, cannot die. Yea, cannot be buried. There is nothing. As a matter of fact, no enemy. The enemy is a concept that's out. Before I found Christ and gave my life to God, I would try to lean on my own understanding. And that's the universe is like a black hole of information.
What do you mean by your own understanding?
Meaning, when people ask Einstein, said, you're the smartest person, what would you like to know? Einstein's response was, I'd like to understand the mind of God. Meaning God is all knowing, and we can only know or see. And for me as a visionary, we can only know or see what God allows us to see and what he feels we're ready to see and understand, to maximize what our Maslow's hierarchy of need chart is. You know, what sets our dopamines, what sets our serotonins off, what makes us feel good. Basically, like, you know, we did a good deed, and it's like it was somehow, you know, just doing a beat for a local dope rapper really meant a lot to me when I was 14 years old. Doing a beat for just anyone famous that had a major record deal was a lot to me at age 19. Me being able to, you know, put out my own music, and that was a lot to me at age 24. Meaning, as I grow, God sets new stages in the game of life for me, that you get your satisfaction. Like Maslow's hierarchy of need is like our satisfaction chart. What makes us feel whole and accomplished as a human being? So as I go through these different levels, there's times where I would use confidence when I knew what I was doing, and I would use arrogance when I didn't know what I was doing. But I'd rather use arrogance than to let someone diminish my idea of myself, because that is what keeps us going. Hope actually keeps us alive. Anybody you ask, most people, it's like, do you want tomorrow to come? And they say yes. They have hope for it. But I went from having confidence and arrogance to having faith, and faith is the opposite of fear. And that created this fearless approach that I have. And that's what now has made me the fearless leader that I am, that I've like crystallized into the leader that my mom always knew I would be when kids followed me in preschool, the leader that people saw when we changed the sound of music.
You know, I like when Jay-Z said, show you how to move in a room full of vultures. Isn't that like, you don't really have to change who you are and start saying, I'm gonna be a snake, I'm gonna be that. You know what I'm saying? Just know you can't let people use you or misuse you. Life is about using people though. Just don't misuse them. I mean, just in life, if you like the type of music and you listen to it all the time, you know, why not follow your heart? Why not follow what makes you happy? I remember when the song the movie American Werewolf in Paris came out, and it had the theme song, I think was by Blur. Nothing hurts like your mouth. And like me and my friends used to love that song so much. And it was like we weren't supposed to like the song or something because of where we were from. Or we like songs like So Kiss Me Under the Moonlit Starlight. Like all these songs are just these incredible melodies from the 80s and from the 90s. A lot of the 90s stuff. People keep on saying 80s, but they were like, Mr. Jones and me. All these sweeping melodies and Nirvana and shit like that. Like, and I'm like, I really love music and I love to sing these songs and I can make music. So why not just make music? The greatest thing that a man has to give to anyone, whether it's their kids, whether it's their wife, is time. And how much time do we spend, you know, chasing the American dream or chasing money and materialistic things? And how much time do we actually give to the women and children? And that's with this album, more so than, you know, what type of music, you know, the way I chose to express it, that message is what people need to leave with the most, I think.
There's a balance of family and calling that I specifically have. I have to protect and take care of my family and make sure with the power that God has put in my hand that I do everything that I can as the father to provide the best chance at them being the maximum success that they can be. I think people focus too much on the past and focus too much on regret. Even like when you deal with schools, like you take like the slave idea. My point is, I've heard of history class. I've never heard of a class that breaks down how you balance a checkbook or how you control your finances, which my father never taught me that. And I've never heard of a future class. So they keep us so focused on history that we start to believe that it actually repeats itself. And we become overly traditional and we can't advance as a race of beings. We get too caught up in the past and what everyone's saying, what everyone's tweeting. And sometimes you just have to be fearless enough to break the simulation. I refuse to follow those rules that society has set up and the way that they control people with low self-esteem, with improper information, with branding, with marketing. I refuse to follow those rules. It's about truth. It's about information. It's about awesomeness. And the only luxury is time, the time you spend with your family. That's the only luxury to this concept. A lot of people say, okay, well, you have to do music. I'm gonna keep doing music, but what if people told me I couldn't rap? What would have happened? What if people told me I couldn't perform? I have other goals and other things, and I'm gonna use my platform, every platform, to stand up and say, I wanna make something. I wanna make the next Ralph Lauren. That was the point of the Zayn interview. They say people don't stand up and protect their dreams. People are too scared of getting, spoofed in a way.
There's an exercise where we could say this: Rockstar energy drink.
The first leader to come out and condemn the World Economic Forum, would you believe it, is Canadian and is from here in Alberta. So let's just see what she is saying right now.
WEF. It's not clickbait, Premier. It's not entertainment. It's actually a health policy decision that you announced on Western Standard on Friday. AHS confirms there is a deal with WEF. It's very minor. It's an information sharing deal, but it does exist. And you're saying we are going to cancel that and anything to do with WEF. Policy decision. So, sorry, I had to write this down because it was that. What concerns do you have then with WEF? And is it because you accept the online conspiracy theory that WEF is a front for a global cabal of world leaders bent on using the pandemic to destroy capitalism and install a socialist dysfunctional dystopia? And I'm sorry if I didn't get the whole theory correct.
Look, I think that we should be taking our healthcare advice from Alberta healthcare experts.
I think it's kind of clear that when you're watching that video, that as that question is asked, she is almost smiling. Like, I am somebody who's read 25 books on psychology. It's something I find incredibly interesting. And her facial expressions, her body language is portraying like, oh my God, here we go, sort of thing. But you know what? This is the media's attempt to try and pull this woman apart before she's even started, because she's posing a threat. Now, the funny thing is they mentioned conspiracy theories. So the first conclusion that they jump to is the most extreme, We already know tons of information about the World Economic Forum and Davos. This isn't conspiracy theories. It's not a conspiracy theory either that an employee of the World Economic Forum turned up late whilst Klaus was overseas and parked in his parking space. And then Klaus was insisting that she was fired because the person at the helm of the World Economic Forum is just, he thinks he is above everybody else. And this idea of you will own nothing and be happy is just essentially they will own everything and you will own nothing. And that in some ways it kind of sounds almost cute when they say you will own nothing and be happy and we're all about climate change. And this is all a front. And people who've worked at the World Economic Forum have even previously said on record about these different things that happen within the forum and how that Klaus is always good at anticipating the next trend coming up. So that next trend was climate change. And basically at the World Economic Forum, what's going on at Davos is you've got big pharma, big tech, some of the richest people in the world colluding with governments behind closed doors where nobody has any access. And we're meant to believe that that is some sort of great thing. They're doing fantastic things when Klaus actually came out and said this.
When you brought the Young Global Leaders Program here for executive education and the Schwab Fellows, but there are 2 countries in the world now in which the young global leaders have emerged. Tell us just a bit about that in terms of the governance.
Yes, actually, this notion to integrate young leaders is part of the World Economic Forum since many years. And I have to say, when I mention now names like Mrs. Merkel, even Vladimir Putin and so on, they all have been young global leaders of the World Economic Forum.
Mm-hmm.
But what we are very proud of now is the young generation, like Prime Minister Trudeau, President of Argentina, and so on, that we penetrate the cabinets. So yesterday I was at a reception for Prime Minister Trudeau, and I know that half of this cabinet, or even more, half of this cabinet, are for our actually young global leaders of the World Economic Forum.
And she, you know what, in the video of Danielle Smith, she doesn't say it, but she did say it in another interview. She actually says, I find it distasteful when billionaires brag about how much control they have over political leaders. And that is exactly what is happening in that video. Klaus is bragging about the control that he has over political leaders like Jagmeet Singh, like Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. Chrystia Freeland is a trustee on the World Economic Forum's board. And so is Larry Fink, who is the CEO at BlackRock, a company that is openly buying lots and lots of real estate, which goes to the same narrative of you will own nothing and be happy. And, you know, I've done previous videos before on social credit scoring. And this is something, again, that the World Economic Forum has discussed openly at Davos. And I don't think it's any coincidence that we saw last year in 2021 the implementation of a sort of social credit scoring system. In fact, it was a social credit scoring system because based on whether you took a medical decision, you were then allowed or restricted to do certain activities. Now, we can argue all day long about whether that was right or wrong, and I really don't want to get into that. But the fact that this was even there and this was even implemented was a huge step in the wrong direction. And let's think about who goes to these meetings. Big tech, big pharma. Well, who would be creating these digital IDs? Big tech. And who would be benefiting from the medical decision that you would have had to make over the past couple of years? Big pharma. So those two big organizations at the World Economic Forum, is it any coincidence that they are colluding with the government behind closed doors to create these different things? I don't think it's any coincidence. And as it goes on, again, this reporter really starts to drill into her and try and make her look like a conspiracy theorist, when in actual fact, most people can agree with what she's saying. And I'm not saying you have to support her party or support her politically. We are just talking purely about what is being said and what is going on here, which I think is important for global economics, global politics, as we are seeing lots of different things play out. And we're going to go more into a video on BlackRock next week and what's happening there. We're seeing a shift away from the World Economic Forum, which is very, very good. That is good news. And it's finally some good news that we can smile about here on a Friday.
You still haven't answered the question, Premier. You do not want to have anything to do with the WEF, and you have a well-documented appetite for alternative media sources. So if you're not going to answer the question, and you haven't done so now a third time, the question is, why won't Danielle Smith answer that question? And I put it to you, Premier.
I think
Premier,
I have,
put it to you
Dean.
that you believe this theory, and I think it matters that you explain whether or not you believe this WEF theory, because it looks like you're actually basing health policy based on it.
I think it makes sense to make health decisions based on health experts.
And there you go again. They are saying about alternative media. You see, it's very cute how they slip this into conversation, slip this into the questions. They make these assumptions. So you listen to alternative media, you must be a conspiracy theorist. Now, I don't know the details of what Danielle Smith listens to, but this is just a narrative that has gone on for a long time, that if you listen to alternative media sources, then you are a conspiracy theorist. And we know that's just not the case. I mean, look at what is happening with the trucker convoy inquiry right now. We are beginning to see that it was obvious, and it was obvious when I did videos back when it was all happening about the convoy, was not it like it wasn't needed. The Emergencies Act, the fact that it was implemented was just outrageous. And it's coming to fact now that in fact there was a deal, and then Justin Trudeau came in heavy-handed and he invoked this War Measures Act essentially. And it is very, very, very bad that these things are happening and political leaders are making decisions like this. It is not good at all. So let's see what else was said.
The group that you mentioned and the person at the helm of it, I don't think he's a medical doctor. I don't think he's a nurse, and I don't think he's a paramedic, and I don't think he's a health professional. As I've said, I am going to be taking advice from our frontline nurses, doctors, paramedics, and health professionals to fix the local problems that we have. The local problems are related to ambulance service, they're related to emergency room service, and they're related to not being able to get surgical initiatives and our surgical wait time list down. Those are very local issues. And so I'm interested in talking to local people to solve local problems. That's my priority.
And isn't it kind of crazy that there was even a deal in place that none of us even knew about between the World Economic Forum, or even them acting as a middleman, however that deal was constructed, and the Alberta government? Doesn't that make you question all the other governments
In 2016, a couple was walking up this dirt path on this wooded hillside when they came up to this huge barbed wire fence. And all over this fence were signs saying no trespassing and warning people that what was on the other side of this fence was very dangerous. But the couple ignored these signs and slipped through a break in the fence to the other side and just kept on walking. Minutes later, that couple would come face to face with a monster. But before we get into that story, if you're a fan of the strange, dark, and mysterious delivered in story format, then you've come to the right place because that's all we do, and we upload once a week. So if that's of interest to you, please offer to do the like button's dishes, but be sure to leave all of the cups and bowls right side up inside of their dishwasher. Also, please subscribe to our channel and turn on all notifications so you don't miss any of our weekly uploads. Okay, let's get into today's story. While she was in high school in Dayton, Ohio, Raquel Bain became known as a bit of a thrill seeker, primarily because she would do something called car surfing, which is exactly what it sounds like. She would climb onto the exterior of cars and hold on to the roof while somebody else drove it around. In addition to seeking out these physical thrills, Raquel was also drawn to psychological ones, like going to places that were supposedly haunted and seeing if she could spook herself. Following high school, Raquel kind of calmed down and became less of the wild teenager she was known for being. And instead, she really focused on building a life and a career for herself. And so she would go to college and she would earn her degree in surgical technologies. And then by 2009, she was employed full-time as a surgical assistant in Dayton. Also around that time, she had her first child, a son who she adored. But despite creating this life full of stereotypically adult, mature things like having a career and starting a family, deep down, Raquel was still very much the thrill-seeking wild teenager she was back in high school. But as an adult, she just never had time to go seek out those thrills. So with that in mind, fast forward to April of 2016, by this point, Raquel is 26 years old, and that month, a very rare weekend popped up where Raquel did not have to work and she didn't have any childcare responsibilities. And so wanting to take advantage of this free time, Raquel asked her boyfriend, 41-year-old David Nee, if he would join her on a road trip that weekend to Louisville, Kentucky, where Raquel wanted to check out the infamously scary Waverly Hills Sanatorium. Back in the 1900s, Waverly Hills was a place where tuberculosis patients were sent. Tuberculosis, or TB for short, is an infection of the lungs and it can be deadly. Today, there's a cure for it, but back in the early 1900s, there wasn't. And so most of the people who went to Waverly Hills died there, and usually very slowly and painfully and in total isolation from their families, because in virtue of being sent to Waverly Hills, they were effectively being quarantined to stop the spread of the disease. Waverly Hills would eventually shut down permanently in 1961 because by that point the cure had been found. And after it shut down, the building basically just sat there. Nobody else came in and turned it into anything else. And so this building is basically abandoned, and lots of people began sneaking in to see what it was like in there. And a shocking number of these trespassers reported seeing ghosts inside. Today, the sanatorium is still very much in the same condition it was left in, but the Waverly Hills Historical Society has stepped in and made it very hard for people to sneak into the building. However, knowing people do want to go in and look around, the Historical Society has begun offering guided tours of the sanatorium. And these tours are given exclusively at night to increase the spooky effect. And so David, who had only been dating Raquel for a month when she asked him to come with her to the sanatorium, he was not really that keen on doing this. It did not really appeal to him to go walking around this totally terrifying place, but he could tell it was important to Raquel. She was really excited about it, and so he agreed to go. A few days later, on the late afternoon of April 23rd, the new couple left Raquel's place, they climbed into the car, and they began driving south. 3 hours later, they arrived in Louisville and they stopped to get dinner. And then after they were done eating, they looked at the time and realized it was only about 6:45 p.m. And the tour they had scheduled at the sanatorium was not until 10 p.m. So they had a few hours to kill. And before David could suggest anything, Raquel already had the perfect idea of how they should kill this time. She told David that earlier that day, she had learned about a spot just outside of Louisville that might actually be more terrifying than the sanatorium they had come all this way to see. And so Raquel wanted to spend these few hours checking out this new spooky spot. This spooky spot was a rickety, old, narrow, abandoned-looking bridge called the Pope Lick Trestle. It's located just east of downtown Louisville in this heavily wooded area. The bridge is about 800 feet long, and at its highest point, right in the middle of the bridge, it's about 90 to 100 feet off the ground. And this bridge connects the tops of two of the bigger rolling hills in the area. But the bridge's physical appearance has nothing to do with why it's considered so spooky. The reason the Pope Lick Trestle has become a central part of Kentucky folklore is because locals say there is a monster called the Pope Lick Monster that lives underneath the bridge. It's half goat, half man, and when anyone is near this bridge at night, this monster is supposed to come out from underneath this bridge, and then what happens next is very ambiguous. It kind of depends on who you're talking to, but generally speaking, once the Pope Lick Monster has emerged and it sees you, you're dead. Now, how you die ranges from the monster leaping out and attacking you with an axe to the monster using some sort of mind control to lure you up onto the bridge where you leap off. David, after hearing this suggestion, was again not really that keen to go do this really terrifying sounding thing, but seeing the excitement in his girlfriend's face, he agreed to go. And so the two left the restaurant, they climbed back in the car, and they drove for about 15 or 20 minutes to the Pope Lick Trestle Bridge. The bridge actually passed over a relatively main road, and so the couple parked just off the side of this main road. And then once they were outside, they began looking for a pathway up this hillside to get up to the bridge. And very quickly, they found a well-worn dirt path that snaked up the side of this wooded hillside that looked very much like it would bring them up to the bridge. So with Raquel in front and David behind her, they began walking up this dirt path. And as they're walking, they start to see signs that clearly say, no trespassing. But they ignore them because they're looking at this path thinking, okay, lots of people clearly come up here, so we've got to be okay. And so they keep on walking up this path, and they're getting closer and closer to the top of this hill where they think it's going to connect with this bridge. And right as they're getting close, they see there's this huge chain link fence, this 8-foot tall chain link fence with barbed wire across the top that extends in either direction out of view. And so the couple walks up to this fence, and there are more signs that say no trespassing, private property, and there are additional warning signs saying that what is on the other side of this fence is also just plain dangerous. So turn around and leave. Every fall, when the leaves start to turn colors and the weather starts to get cool, people flock in droves to their nearest coffee shop to order a pumpkin spice latte. And every year when I see this phenomenon occur, I think to myself, how hasn't anyone started a seasonal eel teeth and milk sandwich restaurant? It's such an obvious compliment to the pumpkin spice latte. Well, this year I decided enough was enough. I was going to fill this massive hole in the marketplace and become the eel teeth and milk sandwich king. However, I pretty much immediately ran into a very big issue. The 5 mini poodles that I hired to help me grow and run this restaurant franchise instantly began to struggle with some basic tasks that I had outlined in the job description, like being able to hold things with your thumbs and speaking a human language. And so just a couple of days ago, as I'm sitting in my office trying for the 100th time to teach these mini poodles how to speak English and how to use their thumbs, my pet frog, Seagull Lung, came flying in and slapped me right in the coccyx and said, "Papa, tu vas voir."
Papa, tu dois voir ZipRecruiter.
Papa, tu devoir ZipRecruiter, which of course in French means, Dad, we need to use ZipRecruiter. And boy was old Lungy right. ZipRecruiter, which is the #1 rated hiring site according to G2 satisfaction ratings as of January 1st, 2022, uses its powerful technology to find and match the right candidates with your job. And then you can easily go through all of these recommended candidates and invite only your top choices to apply for your job, meaning you won't have to hire as many unqualified mini poodles. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free at my exclusive web address, ziprecruiter.com/Mr. Ballin. Again, that's ziprecruiter.com/Mr. Ballin, or you can click the link in the description below. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. Bent 2 of the fence posts and created a narrow gap in the fence that you could slip through. And so from David and Raquel's perspective, that looked like the way other trespassers must have found their way up to the bridge, and so it must be safe. And so once again, the couple disregarded all the warnings. They made their way over to this gap in the fence, they both slipped through, and they kept on walking up the hill. Just a couple of minutes later, they reached this clearing, which was at the top of this hill. And once they were in this clearing, they were able to turn and they could actually see the bridge. It was only a couple hundred feet away from them. And it was totally intimidating. By this point, it's totally dark out. And from their perspective, all they see is this very narrow bridge that they know is 100 feet off the ground at certain points. And they can see there's no guardrails on either side of this bridge. It would have almost looked like a tightrope kind of extending off into the darkness. But even if the couple was really intimidated by the sight of this bridge and with all these warning signs before it, they were able to put their fear aside and just keep on going. And so with David now in the lead and Raquel behind him, they walked the couple of hundred feet over to the start of this narrow bridge. And when they got there, without actually stepping onto the bridge, David came to a stop. He turned around to face Raquel and he gestured for her to come stand next to him so they could take a selfie with the bridge in the background. Because David at this point is thinking, we're not going to go on this bridge. We're just going to look at this bridge, take some pictures, and then we'll go. But Raquel, who he's looking at, gesturing to come stand with him, just walks right past him onto the bridge and takes several steps out onto this narrow, rickety old thing. And then she stops, turns around, and gestures for David to come with her and walk across the entire bridge. And David, again, is having his second thoughts, but he sees Raquel wants to do this, and so he agrees to go. After they had walked about 100, maybe 200 feet across this bridge, the two of them just started laughing because it was totally exhilarating what they were doing. Not so much the quest for the Popelic monster, but rather the very real risk they were taking walking this tightrope bridge in the middle of the night. The couple would continue to very cautiously but quickly make their way across this bridge, and when they reached about the halfway point, when they were at the highest point from the ground, the bridge itself begins to shake. And then from behind them, they hear this loud grinding sound. And so the couple, they whip their heads around and they see there are these two bright glowing lights that are looking right at them all the way on the start of the bridge. And they realize it's a train. When Raquel and David walked up that dirt path and snuck through the fence and reached the top of the hill and could actually see the Popelic Trestle Bridge, they would have also seen the train tracks in the hillside that clearly extended onto the Popelic Trestle and went across the bridge. This was a train bridge. They would have seen that. But it's assumed that the couple who didn't live in the area and so didn't know much about the Popelic Trestle, it's assumed they thought, well, this is a train bridge, but it's got to be abandoned. It certainly looks abandoned, and it does. It looks totally old. It does not look active, even though it is. Or the couple thought, well, this is just an old train bridge. It might be active, but surely no train is going to come through anytime soon. We can get across the bridge before a train arrives. But, of course, they were wrong. When the couple turned around and saw these two headlights bearing down on them, they quickly realized they would not be able to outrun this train. The train's clearly trying to stop. It has seen them. It's hitting its brakes. It's sounding its horn, but it's just clearly moving too quickly. So they cannot run to the other side to safety. And because this bridge was meant for a single train to pass through, there was no other track they could just jump onto to avoid being hit. And there were no walkways on either side of this railway. And so literally all they had was the track that this train was going to cross over, and they were on it. And so with no other choices, David yells to Raquel that they have to climb down and hang off the side of this bridge. Now, there were these wooden slats that ran underneath the rails. They ran perpendicular to the rails, and these wooden slats kind of extended off the edge of the bridge on either side just a couple of inches. And so in theory, if you were holding onto the outside of one of these wooden slats and kind of dangling off the edge of the bridge, a train could cross those tracks and not run over your hands or fingers. You would just have to hold on that whole time as the train is rumbling through. And so David, he flops down onto his stomach and he's trying to lower himself as fast as he can as this train is getting closer and closer. And he's yelling for Raquel to do the same thing, but she's not really moving very quickly. And finally, David, he gets in position. He's hanging off the edge of this bridge on these wooden slats, and he sees Raquel. She's not quite there. And then the train comes flying through. It strikes Raquel and sends her flying off the bridge to the ground below. David would somehow manage to hold on the whole time as this train went past him. And then once the train had passed him, he pulled himself back up onto the tracks. He ran the rest of the way across the bridge. He went down that hillside. And when he found Raquel, it was immediately apparent that she was deceased. In the end, the railroad was not issued any citations or sued for negligence. It was determined they did their due diligence by setting up that 8-foot-tall barbed wire fence with all those signs telling people to stay back and warning people about the hazards of going past this fence. And so it was actually David who got in trouble for this tragedy. He was cited and charged with a felony of unlawfully disrupting and or delaying a train, causing financial damages. He would plead to a lesser charge of trespassing and would be fined $2,300. Shockingly, this tragedy is just one of many that have occurred on the Popelik Trestle Bridge. Since the bridge's construction in the 1800s, there have been dozens of people who have died on this bridge. And several of these deaths, many of them fairly recent, the last 20 or so years, have occurred under the same conditions as Raquel's. People went looking for the Popelik monster and then were struck by a train. So that's going to do it. If you got something out of today's episode and you haven't done this already, please offer to do the like button's dishes, but be sure to leave the cups and bowls right side up in their dishwasher. Also, please subscribe to our channel and turn on all notifications so you don't miss any of our weekly uploads. We now have a podcast called the Mr. Ballin Podcast that puts out brand new exclusive stories on Monday mornings, and on Thursday mornings, we put out remastered audio of our best YouTube videos. That podcast is available on all platforms right now, but in just a couple of days, on November 1st, 2022, it will only be available on Amazon Music. We now have a registered 501c3 charitable organization called the Mr. Ballin Foundation that makes it as easy as possible for you to join me, my family, and my team in supporting those whose lives have been most impacted by violent and heinous crimes. Monthly donors to the Mr. Ballin Foundation Honor Them Society will receive free gifts and exclusive invites to special live events. But the real reward is helping
These are the times that try men's souls. Over the course of our nation's history, the people of America have rallied bravely whenever the rights of men have been threatened. Today, a new crisis has arisen. The massively retarded NPC Armageddon, or the mRNA, has been pushed as a burdensome vax on the population under the guise of coof transmission reduction. Citizens, hear me out. This could happen to you. Well, let me tell you a story of a man named Fauci on a tragic and fateful day. He put millions
Ah, the 70s. It was a decade of muscle cars, bell-bottoms, rock and roll, and yes, even a little bit of disco. Back then, people did things that are now frowned upon. Sure, it was a little dangerous, but it certainly was a lot of fun. In today's video, we'll take a look back at some of the things done in the 70s that are no longer acceptable. The 1970s was a time when things were different, and I'm not just talking about fashion. There were things that we did, and yet here we are. For example, kids would play outside all day. If there was dirt on our hands or faces and we had somewhere important to go, then no problem. We didn't use antibacterial wipes or hand sanitizer. We had something better. Mom spit in a handkerchief, and that was pretty much like 409. It could remove anything. And speaking of being outside, as kids we rode bikes without helmets, bike paths, or adult supervision. There weren't any elbow pads or knee pads either. We just ended up with scarred elbows and knees. It sure was fun though. Those scabs and scars were like trophies with great stories to tell about what happened. But kids back then were adventurous. When a kid got seriously injured, people generally felt sorry for the parents. They didn't blame them for letting them climb the trees. Safety standards of today weren't anywhere to be seen back then. There were trampolines, but they didn't have safety nets around them. We actually loved the challenge of danger. Remember squirting down the trampoline with water and adding a little bit of Palmolive dish soap to make it extra slippery? That just meant extra laughs when your friends slid off of the trampoline onto the ground. Heck, even going to camp back then was completely different. Your parents didn't have to fill out 20 forms of paper wanting complete medical history, including all of your allergies, insurance, and waivers in case you got hurt. School was also much different back in the 70s. For the most part, we went to the closest school and not necessarily the best one. If we rode the bus and we acted up, the bus driver would yell at you. The kid actually got in trouble, not the bus driver. We took our lunches to school in metal lunch pails, and inside could be leftover chicken, bologna, or even tuna. Back then, there were no fridges in the classrooms, and there certainly weren't any of those ice blocks to put in your lunch pail. Yet for some reason, we didn't get food poisoning. If you had a teacher that was angry all the time, then you just dealt with it. You didn't transfer out of class. You just hoped and prayed that you would have a better one next year. When a teacher gave you swats, you certainly didn't run home and tell your parents because we were all afraid that we would get it again. For the most part, kids just avoided getting in trouble in the first place. Our parents rarely knew our teacher's name, much less how qualified they were. When it came time for the parent-teacher conference, kids got nervous and scared, not the teachers. If you got a bad grade on a test, then you got a talking to and not a cuddle. Back then, if a kid received an award for being Student of the Week, then it meant that they actually did something great instead of just showing up for school. In the 70s, what happened on the playground stayed on the playground. It could be rough, but it could certainly be fun. When you did get injured, a teacher could put mercurochrome on a scraped knee without obtaining parents' permission or completing an incident report. School field trips were much easier. There was no such thing as a kid-to-parent volunteer ratio. You were just happy to get out of class and you didn't want to do anything to ruin the next trip. School breaks were always welcomed, and it wasn't about art class or summer camps. But we did try to blow off steam by getting into some sort of sport on Saturdays. Making the team was always a big deal, and it wasn't always guaranteed. If you didn't make it, then you had to try harder next time or pick a different sport. When you won the big game, you could tell tall tales about how it was done. If you had a great season and you came out on top, then you got a trophy. There were also trophies for second and third place, but not 20th. Not every kid was going to get one, and it was perfectly fine. Family vacations came before kids' sporting schedules, and that's something that seems to be disappearing from today's time. Birthday parties were fun back in the 70s, and they certainly weren't like today's parties with celery and face painting. We had hot dogs, burgers, soda, and of course cake, but there were also other things to challenge you with an element of danger. Remember having your hands tied behind your back, being blindfolded, and trying to eat a donut on a string before others could? Sometimes this was even done while you were being held upside down. Sharp things were just part of the fun at parties in the 1970s. We played pin the tail on a donkey with a sharp tack after being spun in a circle and were completely dizzy. And how about lawn darts? We all played the game and we didn't think about it being dangerous. And as a 10-year-old boy, it was perfectly fine to receive a pocket knife as a present. A gift like that could come in really handy and could last a lifetime. We also didn't worry about germs at parties. Nobody wrote their names on cups and we all shared them at some point. We probably even offered our friend a bite of our own hot dog. If somehow we got injured and spilled blood, then there was a good chance that we were going to become blood brothers. This, of course, was long before the AIDS scare of the 1980s. Weekends were a lot of fun. Saturday mornings were your TV time. Just you, some cartoons, and your favorite sugary cereal. The rest of the day belonged to Dad so he could watch sports, a movie, or even the news later that evening. So now that TV time was over, it was off to your friend's house to ring the doorbell and ask if they could come out to play. Back then, it was always easy to tell where all the kids were in the neighborhood because of all the bicycles out front. For the most part, kids could do whatever they wanted as long as they stayed out of their parents' hair. The weekend was really all about your parents' social lives. It was a perfect time for a sleepover at a friend's house. Then the next weekend, it would be your turn to have your friend over. Dinner was an important time for the family to sit down together at the table and discuss the day or current events. As soon as it was over, it was time to take out the trash and do the dishes. That was every bit as important as doing your homework. Being tired was no excuse to be rude either. Everyone was tired. Going to the grocery store was an experience. Kids rode in grocery carts without seat belts or padded liners. Heck, it was even fun to just have groceries piled up on top of you. It was also fun to ride on the end of the cart as your parents pushed it. The cereal aisle was super colorful and they had some really cool toys and prizes inside. Back then, grocery stores had only one kind of milk. If you wanted skim milk, then you could just be a little weirdo by drinking half a glass or adding ice to it. We certainly didn't have 30 kinds of rice, almond, and soy milk. The choice was easy: milk or no milk. Every grocery store had a good butcher that you got to know well. Most meat packages didn't have a sell-by or use-by date. We depended on our noses and visual inspection to see if it was still okay to use. One thing you absolutely didn't see were kids on iPads or doing the latest TikTok dances. Kids just had to enjoy the experience. This was also true on long trips in the car. No iPads, snacks, or juice boxes needed. You just found ways to entertain yourself. Maybe you played car bingo, or maybe you pulled out the elastic out of your sock and then popped your little sister or brother. Oh, look out, they're crying. Here comes Dad's arm. Don't make him stop the car. No matter what, kids always found something to do. If you didn't, then your parents would. Never ever say that you were bored. That meant extra chores. Back then, kids would grab scrap pieces of lumber and materials and then build their own clubhouse. None of them ever came from Amazon or big box stores. Every year, kids would look through Christmas catalogs and dream about what they wanted. It was always fun to circle everything you liked. Kids didn't get everything that they wanted. If you got one item from your wish list, then you had a really good result. There are literally thousands of things that kids used to do in the 70s but are no longer being done now. Most of those things are either illegal or frowned upon. Was it better or worse? I'm not quite sure, and I'll let you be the judge of that, but I'm really grateful that I got to experience the 70s firsthand. Can you think of anything that we missed, or maybe you just want to share some special memories of things you used to do? Let us know in the comments below. As always, thank you so much for watching.
This flat tire needs a man, but when there's no man around, when there's no man around, Goodyear should be. Why? Watch this. New Goodyear Double Eagle carries its own spare inside. Lifeguard safety spare. A tire in a tire. Keeps on going. Next time, give her a second chance.
In old Japan rode rickshaws everywhere, but when the kids sat down to eat, they sure did miss their favorite treat. Kool-Aid, Kool-Aid, tastes great, wish we had some, can't wait. A story man who heard the kids then clapped his hands and said,
Hi, Kool-Aid keeps me very wise. Stand by please for big surprise. Kool-Aid, Kool-Aid, so great, once you tried it, no can wait. Honorable Kool-Aid, the most refreshing, much loved by whole family. Father, mother, Japanese boy, Japanese girl, a package make 2 full quarts, cost only 20 yen, just 5 cents, with lots of ice, so nice.
The Kool-Aid kids are off again to visit other lands. Be sure to join them when they do.
Join them in some Kool-Aid too. Kool-Aid, Kool-Aid, so great, once you tried it, no can wait.
Tonight, right after Animal House, Eric Estrada and Howard Hessman meet the Dream Girls.
Hi.
Of every man's fantasy.
I'll just knock you dead.
Morgan Fairchild, Linda Carter, Kathy Lee Crosby, Victoria Principal, and much, much more. Beautiful. They're the sexiest super ladies on the scene. They're the women who rate a 10 later tonight.
This is the story of the little bull who wanted to sing, but sing in a special way. His ambition was to sing in the Bull of the Woods Quartet.
Rich and mild.
No. You must sing deeper. Rich and mild. You see, Bull of the Woods chewing tobacco is rich. It's mild, too. And your voice must express that mildness.
Rich and mild.
Deeper.
Rich and mild.
Fuller. And so the little bull worked and sang and kept singing. His voice got richer and fuller and sweet as Bull of the Woods chewing tobacco, until that great day when he got his wish. Bull of the Woods, chewing tobacco. Bull of the Woods, chewing tobacco. Bull of the Woods.
It's the faxer.
Lovely filler can't be beat. Rich and mild, chewing tobacco. Man, it's good chewing tobacco. Bull of the Woods, chewing tobacco. Smooth and tasty chewing treat. He's the boss.
You run your mill with the same kind of skill that's been passed through your family to you. You're the kind of a man who likes to work with his hands. Beechnut's the tobacco you chew. Beechnut's the tobacco you chew, and it's been that way, father and son, for a long time. Beechnut's smoother, moister, more delicious. Try it. Yeah, Beechnut's the tobacco you chew.
They sure work hard, don't they, Barney? Yeah? I hate to see them work so hard. Yeah, me too. Let's go around back where we can't see them. Gee, we ought to do something, Fred. Okay? How's about taking a nap? I got a better idea. Let's take a Winston break. That's it! Winston is the one filter cigarette that delivers flavor 20 times a pack. Winston's got that filter blend. Yeah, Fred. Filter blend makes the big taste difference, and only Winston has it up front where it counts. Here, ahead of the pure white filter. Winston packs rich tobaccos specially selected and specially processed for good flavor in filter smoking. Yeah, Barney, Winston tastes good, like a cigarette should.
The Flintstones have been brought to you by Winston, America's best-selling, best-tasting filter cigarette.
Winston tastes good like a cigarette should.
I bought the fresh stick, just as you told me. You're absolutely right. It's neat and quick, and it goes on dry. It did make me feel cool and sweet, just as you said. I did everything you said, but my boss still hasn't asked me to lunch.
Unlike some deodorants, Fresh doesn't guarantee you'll get ahead in business. All Fresh does is keep you fresh.
When you think of it, that's quite a lot.
Oh, no.
What's wrong?
Oh, it's your coffee again. The desk sergeant at the station makes better coffee than this.
Ed, really?
Sorry, honey. But your coffee tastes terrible.
Mr. McGregor, please help me.
Carol, what's the matter?
My coffee. Ed says he gets better coffee at the police station.
Why not try new Instant Folgers?
Instant Folgers?
No, I said new Instant Folgers, Carol. Tastes good as fresh perked, because it's made from fresh perked coffee. Then they actually turn that fresh perked coffee into new Instant Folgers.
Tastes good as fresh perked because it is. Fresh perked. Mr. McGregor, I'll try it.
Hey, the Sarge never made coffee like this.
It's new Instant Folgers. Tastes good as fresh perked.
I like it better.
Try new Instant Folgers. Tastes good as fresh perked because it is.
Good morning, dear.
Good morning, sweetie birdie.
I'm out of coffee.
You're out of coffee. Isn't that wonderful? Out of coffee?
What a time to run out. And why run out? Now there's a new giant-size Instant Maxwell House. A really big jar of coffee. New giant-size Instant Maxwell House gives you cups and cups and cups. Dozens of extra cups of the coffee with that warm bean flavor. Warm bean flavor because it's made from coffee beans still warm from roasting. That's why new Instant Maxwell House is the freshest tasting coffee yet. So to make sure you've always got plenty of coffee,
Sometimes you feel like a nut, sometimes you don't. Almond Joy's got nuts, Mounds don't. Almond Joy's got real milk chocolate, coconut and munchy nuts too. Mounds got deep dark chocolate and chewy coconut. Ooh. Sometimes you feel like a nut, sometimes you don't. Peter Paul, Almond Joy's got nuts, Peter Paul, Mounds don't. Because sometimes you feel like a nut, sometimes you don't.
When I was a kid, the closest you could get me to a fish was the aquarium. Now, thanks to McDonald's, I'm the expert. You see, most fish is not government inspected, but all McDonald's fish is U.S. government inspected grade A. And it's all prime white filet. No fish cakes, not ground up, not mixed with other fish. It's a filet of fish, the best-selling fish sandwich in America. Tell them your nickname, Henry. They call me Jaws.
Quality you can taste.
Look what happens when you buy 3 boxes of Purina Cat Chow. You get 1 box free.
Purina Cat Chow. Chow, chow, chow.
Buy 3 bags of Purina Cat Chow and get a coupon good for 1 bag free.
Purina Cat Chow. Chow, chow, chow.
No matter what size you buy, you can mail in proofs of purchase and get a coupon good for 1 free.
Purina Cat Chow. Chow, chow, chow.
So, buy any 3 Purina Cat Chow now and get 1 free.
Chow, chow, chow.
All over the world, the word for great coffee flavor is Nescafe.
We're the world's favorite brand of instant coffees.
In America, Nescafe's great flavor comes 2 ways.
We're the world's best-selling too.
Nescafe Regular in the red label.
If Nescafe can please the whole wide world.
And now Nescafe Decaffeinated in the green label.
We can sure please you.
Same kind of flavor. Nescafe regular, Nescafe decaffeinated. What's your pleasure?
You make this shot, you can have anything you want for dinner.
I'll have Kentucky Fried Chicken, Mom.
You got it, superstar.
Kids love Kentucky Fried Chicken, just like other folks. And with all those delicious fixins, what a meal.
It's finger looking good. Real goodness from Kentucky Fried Chicken.
There's nothing quite like them on television. The Bradfords, not your typical family of 8 children.
I don't wear nightgowns anymore, Daddy.
They'll make you laugh 1 minute
I forgot to kiss you goodnight.
and cry the next, just like your own family. 8 is enough right after Happy Days in Laverne and Shirley.
Listen, Mr. Merrill, if you don't stay tuned for the second half of the Brady Bunch Hour, you're rude. Rude.
Pardon me, what kind of dog food does your dog eat?
Young fella, there's 2 things I know. Checkers and dogs. Dogs like canned dog food. Especially Herman here.
Do you think he'd like Gaines burgers?
Well, he might. Yeah, leave this to me. Dogs like food that's moist and meaty.
But Gaines burgers are moist and meaty, see?
Go ahead, but...
And they taste terrific.
And you don't know nothing about Checkers, neither.
Gaines burgers dog food. The canned dog food without the can.
I missed my big chance last time. Angie, I'm not going to miss it again.
There it is.
That's the Athena 2000 electronic machine by Singer. It's $100 off. Push these buttons. It sews 25 stitches. Beautiful. Even measures buttons and makes buttonholes to fit in 1 step. If you missed your chance last time, the big Singer sale is back.
Hey, Debbie, if you was my mother, what would you think of your son now? Huh?
Oh.
Why are women so happy about new Tickle antiperspirant? Is it because Tickle is the first roll-on with a big, wide ball? Is it because Tickle comes in 4 fresh fragrances? Or is it because Tickle helps keep you dry all day? Make yourself happy. Staying drier is nicer with a little Tickle.
In some ways, I'm old-fashioned and sentimental. I save love letters, and I press flowers in books. But I do like the modern way to have prettier hair. That's why I like Nice and Easy. It's got built-in conditioners, and the color looks so honest. It lets me be me. I guess that's why Nice and Easy is the world's best-selling hair color.
When did you start baking from scratch? It's not scratch, Mom. It's new Pillsbury Plus. A yellow cake this firm could only be from scratch. It's Pillsbury Plus. A cake this moist could only be from scratch. A cake this rich could only be from scratch. It's Pillsbury Plus. The plus is pudding. Pudding right in the mix to add that moistness. Rich flavor. New Pillsbury Plus, huh? Looks like scratch has met its match.
I'll give you $50 for those sneakers. $50. Okay? You can have them. They're terrible. It's to prove a point. Now, you wash in detergent alone, right? Yeah. Okay. Let's wash this sneaker in detergent alone and this one in the same detergent plus Clorox bleach. Now, see any cleaning difference?
The one I wash with my detergent is just 30. The one washed with Clorox looks so clean.
Clorox Clean. People can see the difference.
Saturday, the fun starts when Nancy meets Francie, Sunshine's mom.
Actually, we live a very quiet life here. And what do you call this? Bad timing.
Then there's a fire at the fishes.
The house 2 doors down, it's on fire.
Could Victor be a firebug?
These children are under my supervision.
Go fish!
And Starsky and Hutch are set up by the mob. Right after Blansky's Beauties and Fish.
I found a recipe you won't find in a cookbook, but it's sure nutritious and a real money saver, too. Take a quart of Carnation Instant Non-Fat Dry Milk. Add a quart of whole milk. Mix, chill,
and serve. You get 2 quarts of fresh-tasting, low-fat milk and make a real savings on your milk bill. Carnation Instant Milk. Good for you and your budget, too.
Know how I save money? With unsweetened Kool-Aid and sugar, just like my mom did. I remember how she'd mix a big pitcher full. Kool-Aid was so good and so inexpensive. It's still as delicious as ever. Today, with my sugar, it's about 12 cents a quart. Has vitamin C, too. I like giving Kathy what my mom gave me.
Kool-Aid brand soft drink mix and your sugar. You loved it as a kid. You trust it as a mother.
I can't believe this. You know, Gravy Train's really been improved. Look how the guys go for it. It's a big improvement because Gaines just added a natural beef flavor. Improved Gravy Train even looks different. And dogs can taste the difference, wet or dry. Tests show they prefer its new beefy taste over old Gravy Train 3 to 1. It's fully nutritious, too. New Gravy Train, a big improvement in taste. Right, guys?
When can I pick up the pictures?
Thursday. This
Thursday. Okay, let me make a note of that.
Gonna write it down there?
Well, it's going to.
Oh,
yeah.
well, then let's say Tuesday.
You mean 2 days earlier?
No, 5 days later.
5 days later. I thought as much.
If this customer were at a Photomat store, we'd be introducing him to our brand new picture pickup promise. Photomat's way of telling you exactly when your pictures will be ready.
That quick?
Sure, and if it doesn't work out, you get a free roll of film.
Oh, no. You get in trouble for
It's
that.
no problem.
Huh?
It's a Photomat policy.
The Photomat picture pickup promise.
Is there a Photomat store around here?
Hi, I'm Sandy Duncan, and like most everybody, I am a snack lover. In fact, right now, I love some Wheat Thins. Wheat Thins taste really good, and they're full of natural whole wheat. So they make a terrific snack right out of the box, or you could put something on top. Look, when you're having a snack, why not have something really good? Wheat Thins. They call them the light little cracker with the big wheat taste from Nabisco. Love them.
I hereby dub you the Easter Bunny.
Wednesday, a special family presentation narrated by Fred Astaire.
The Easter Bunny is coming to town today. Let's all have a happy Easter.
The Easter Bunny's coming to town.
This is Robert Hedges. Stay tuned for the second half of the Brady Bunch Hour, or the sweat hogs are going to get you, see?
The American Eagle. Goodyear's symbol for its all-American kind of radial tire. Goodyear is committed to product innovation. We introduced rayon cord in tires. We created the polyglass tire and the polysteel radial. And now the American Eagle, with belts of Flex-10 cord instead of steel. Flex-10 is made from a flexible man-made aramid fiber that's pound for pound stronger than steel.
Tire for America, the American Eagle, the tire.
It's not too sweet. It's refreshing, crisp, and neat. Canada Dry Ginger Ale. It's not too sweet.
It's not too sweet. I repeat, it's not too sweet. Canada Dry cools your thirst. It's a taste that can't be beat.
It's not too sweet. It's a cold, refreshing treat. Canada Dry Ginger Ale. It's not too sweet.
Regular or diet, it's more refreshing because it's not too sweet.
You're the Pepsi generation. Come and have a Pepsi day. Come on, and taste the Pepsi way. Come on, and have a Pepsi day. Wrap a thirsty smile around it. Raise a Pepsi up and down it. Come on. Have a Pepsi day.
What's this stuff? Some cereal. It's supposed to be good for you. Did you try it? I'm not going to try it. You try it. I'm not going to try it. Let's get Mikey. Yeah. He won't eat it. He hates everything. He likes it. Hey, Mikey.
When you bring life home, don't tell the kids it's one of those nutritional cereals you've been trying to get them to eat. You're the only one who has to know.
Why are women so happy about new Tickle antiperspirant? Is it because Tickle is the first roll-on with a big, wide ball? Is it because Tickle has a new quick-drying formula? Or is it because Tickle helps keep you dry all day? Make yourself happy. Staying drier is nicer with a little Tickle.
Use FinalNet for 5 good reasons. 1, FinalNet is not an aerosol. It's concentrated with a hold that really lasts. 2, it holds without stickiness. 3, it goes where you want it. 4, FinalNet has no aerosol propellants. 5, this much FinalNet goes as far as this much aerosol. Use non-aerosol FinalNet. It's as easy as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
America's been waiting for a family show about a real family.
Maybe you're just old-fashioned. Yeah, maybe.
A show that reveals the joys and the sorrows.
You better all dig down and find your pennies because this family could be in deep financial trouble.
The triumphs and the defeats of real people.
Mary, would you lay off him? He's just trying to do his job.
The Bradfords are the family. 8 is Enough is the show. Right after Happy Days and Laverne and Shirley.
Don't come near me.
Thursday, John Amos, Ernest Borgnine, and the cop of the future are set up by a girl on the edge. Then a new puppy brings Chrissy and Jack closer together.
Yeah, there's nothing a girl likes more than a little tickle on the tummy.
Knock it off!
Three's Company after Future Cop and Barney Miller.
Federal Builders asks New York homeowners what's most important to you in choosing a home remodeling firm.
Recommendation.
Quality materials. Reliability. Good workmanship.
Good designers.
Financing that fits my budget.
Saving money.
Federal Builders has satisfied New York homeowners for over 24 years in every phase of home remodeling. Our designers create exotic wood or Formica custom-built kitchens, including the latest appliances. Or will transform your old outdated bath into a beautiful modern bathroom. Finished basements, dormers, additions, alterations, everything priced to fit your budget. From quality economy jobs to the ultimate in luxury, every federal job carries a full 2-year guarantee. For a free estimate in your home, call 212-787-8600 or 516-333-4900. That's 787-8600 or 333-4900.
Watch out, New York.
Don't miss 2 big hours of game show fun with money and prizes galore every weeknight from 8 to 10, starting tonight. See Tic-Tac-Toe, You Don't Say, Let's Make a Deal, and Tell the Truth. Night games, 8 to 10 p.m. this fall.
You're gonna see just how good it can be. How good it can be. With 11 alive.
The NAACP has been fighting for freedom for over 68 years. Fighting for freedom for over 68 years. It wasn't easy. It still isn't. But you can help. For information about the NAACP Special Contribution Fund programs, contact the branch nearest you or write NAACP, 1790 Broadway, New York, New York, 10019.
What are his aides doing to change President Carter's image? How did a newsreader on the staid BBC become a sex symbol? And why did the filming of James Michener's Centennial become a study in hardship? All the answers are in the new issue of TV Guide.
Hey, what you gonna do now? Where you gonna turn? You gotta get a skill or it's all uphill. And now's the time to learn.
Yes, training is what it takes when you want to break into the business world.
Here at the New York Business School, you can train to be an executive secretary, a bookkeeper, or an office manager. You can learn about marketing and advertising, and these skills can really open doors for you. We've been preparing men and women for business careers for over 40 years. So call us and learn all about the career opportunities and the opportunities for financial aid. The New York Business School is an eligible institution for the federal grant and loan program. So don't wait. Call right now. The number is 586-5333. That's 586-5333.
Set the wheels in motion. Don't just let it slide. The Training Express starts at our address, and we've got your ticket to ride. Ticket to ride.
Here's Susie Chapstick with something new and mouthwatering.
Lip treat, get your lip treat flavor gloss.
Flavor gloss? What flavors? 6 flavors. Gorgeous flavors. Olé, orange. Pig, banana, cherry, chocolate, saucy, strawberry, licorice, and racy root beer. Lip treat. It's a yummy look. Lip treat. There's no clock. No gook.
Lip Treat Flavor Gloss.
Lip treat here.
Watch out, New York.
Laugh along with Sanford and Son, weeknights at 6:30, starting tonight.
I'm not married. I still got to sow some wild oats.
Pop, at your age, you ain't got no wild oats. You got shredded wheat.
Friends, Harrow's is having a fantastic cover-up.
We're covering up every size pool.
Above ground, complete winterizing kits.
From $14.99. In-ground cover kits from $69.99.
Your choice of a gallon of winterizer or ice compensator.
At half price, only $2.99.
And customized covers.
In any shape. Hurry in and cover up. You've got the pool.
We've got the covers. 6 locations on Long Island, 1 in Paramus, New Jersey.
Hey, you're invited to my son's 21st birthday party. Good food, good people. Our neighbor, Bonnie.
Am I weird? Nah.
A genius son, Herschel.
Take human bites.
My honey, Lucille.
I'm not hungry. I'll just pick.
My son's friend from Harvard and his lovely
Come on
sister.
to you. Happy birthday.
And a guest of honor.
Sometimes.
I used to be frightened by all the wine coolers I saw. I was scared I wouldn't pick the right one. Luckily, I did. It was the most refreshing one of them all, Sun Country Wine Cooler. You see, Sun Country is a blend of premium white wine and real fruit juice. That's what gives it its great taste. Sun Country, say, give me the real juice cooler. If you don't say Sun Country, you'd better sleep with your lights on.
There's someone special I want to look good for. Me.
It's my turn to see what I can see. I hope you'll understand. This time just for me.
Looking good makes me feel good, so I use oil of Olay. It's so sheer and greaseless, it sinks right in for a softer, younger look.
Oil of Olay, beauty fluid or luxurious cream to help keep you looking younger too.
Yes.
I love the rich, whole wheat goodness of Kellogg's Mini Wheats. But the delicious frosted side makes the rich kid in me open wide.
The nutritious shredded wheat helps keep me on my toes. But the little ballerina in me thinks the taste steals the show.
Kellogg's Mini Wheats, wholesome shredded wheat for the adult in you, great taste for the kid in you. So they're delicious and nutritious.
The whole grain wheat really packs a crunch, but the delicious taste gives it just the right punch.
Table for 2, please.
Yes, you'd prefer something in our smoking area, Philippe?
Fine. How'd you know she smoked?
Teeth, Orlando. Tobacco stains give smokers away.
Not when you brush every day with Topol. Topol Smoker's Tooth Polish with fluoride safely removes newly deposited tobacco particles and helps clean away built-up stains.
Table for 2, please. I have a charming table in our non-smoking area. No, we smoke. But your teeth, so clean. And he smokes.
Topol, the only toothpaste a smoker needs.
Like sands through the hourglass, so are the days of our lives. is MacDonald Carey, and these are the days of our lives.
With double-layer design for dependable protection. A comfortable plastic applicator. A deodorant for freshness.
With Playtex, you seem to do more.
A special plastic wrap so they won't open in your purse.
Do more.
Playtex tampons give you what you want and more.
You seem to do more with Playtex.
Now, another way to spell relief. Sodium-free Rolaids. Sodium-free Rolaids give millions 100% relief for acid indigestion. Plus, it's rich in calcium. Sodium-free Rolaids for extra calcium and 100% relief.
If you're allergy sensitive, your world is ever threatening. For relief, discover Benadryl, the most prescribed allergy medication ever. Available without prescription. Benadryl and Benadryl decongestant.
Feel it in the air. Elation.
A brand new fragrance from Impulse.
Excitement everywhere. Elation. Elation.
If a man you've never met before suddenly gives you flowers, that's Elation, the exciting new fragrance from Impulse.
Elation.
Thursday, it's Cosby starting off a night of family fun. And leaving some family ties to keep the laughs coming.
Oh, no. What are we going to do?
Everything's under control.
Then on Cheers, will Norm fink on a friend to get a promotion?
Yes, Stone. Yes.
And the fun continues with Night Court.
I'm here to strip for Dan Fielding.
Thursday.
Leanne Hunley's been nominated for a Daytime Emmy.
Away we go.
Now see if she wins on the 13th Annual Daytime Emmy Awards, Thursday.
My kitty cat craves a great big hug. His rubber mouse, a roll on the rug. My kitty cat craves a scratch behind his ear. My ball of yarn, me being near. But most of all, my kitty cat craves.
Crave Dry Cat Food is made from a unique blend of real chicken, milk, and tuna protein. Not flavors, but the real foods cats crave.
Oh, my kitty cat craves.
Give your cat the real protein-rich foods cats crave.
No, I wouldn't consider switching diapers.
Then Anita Hardy compared her regular diaper to Pampers' new form-fitting super absorbency size diaper.
I thought it was fantastic. She was completely dry. Her clothes, her pajamas, her t-shirt. This blue stuff up here must be what keeps her dry.
We call it the blue waist shield.
Blue waist shield is what kept her dry at night. They're Pampers! I don't believe it!
Totally new Pampers with...
Oh, what a meal, oh,
Hamburger Helper Lasagna.
for your family.
Authentic Italian taste.
Hearty robusto, but not too spicy, eh?
Hamburger Helper Lasagna turns your plain hamburger into a delicious Italian meal with authentic Italian taste. Curly Italian noodles, rich tomato sauce, and a better blend of spices.
Hamburger helper.
Lasagna.
Helper, hamburger helper.
Make a great meal, oh.
When I was young, I always thought that Christmas was just for kids. Now I get excited by it through my own kids.
The upside is, thinking of your kids sort of rushing in, a little patter of feet, rushing into their presents, and wrapping paper flying past your head. The downside is reading instructions for some of those toys. Dads, you know what I'm talking about.
Passion has turned to obsession.
The child is my son.
Danger surrounds him, and it's never been so real.
Will you help me?
Beauty and the Beast, Wednesday. Monday, right after Major Dad.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
In an episode unseen for 33 years. Light up the holidays with the I Love Lucy Christmas special. Monday. Tuesday.
Everyone I've met believes in Santa Claus.
He discovered the town where Christmas lives, and to save it, he has to rediscover his heart. John Denver in The Christmas Gift. Tuesday.
We got a zigzagged ship that'll make you sing. Ruffled zigzagged ridges got zigzag zing. Zigzag zing. Ruffled zigzagged ridges got a zing of their own. Put that zigzag zing in your zigzag zone. Zigzag zing. Zigzag zing. Ruffled zigzagged ridges gonna make you swing. Cause Ruffled mashed potatoes, it's got zigzag zing.
Mazda announces some great news for truck buyers. Right now, you can beat the already outstanding value of the $67.95 Mazda SE5. Introducing Mazda SE5 Plus 5. $625 worth of extra features at no extra charge from Mazda. You get a bed liner, mud guards, sliding rear window, floor mats, and AM/FM stereo. That's a $625 value at no extra charge. But hurry, offer ends soon. Here comes the one, the delicious one. Heinz is the favorite one. That's only one ketchup with this flavor pouring on. So big, so rich, so second to none.
Only one ketchup stands for this kind of thickness with this kind of taste. Heinz.
Heinz is the big, rich one.
Ketchup lovers, now try Heinz in the 64-ounce plastic bottle.
Okay, Jonathan, we're sending you back in time. Before television, radio, even before soft drinks. Careful. Anything you do could change history. Comes the word. Activate time travel mode to the year 1885. He's there. Where's my Pepsi? It's... Oh, no. He took it. Relax, Smith. What could 12 ounces of Pepsi possibly change? Yeah, what could happen?
Pepsi, the choice of a new generation.
Do you wanna dance? Hold my hand.
Now there's a car that just asks to be driven.
You're my love man. Oh, baby.
Mercury is bringing a sophisticated new shape to the American road. Introducing Sable. Mercury, the shape you want to be in.
Victoria,
But they finally found a substitute for the sweet roll.
Hey, Nutrigrain's new almond raisin.
What is it, nuts and twigs?
Try almond raisins and these great new flakes made with brown rice.
But there's no sugar added. Irv, you're going to love the taste, even though it's healthy. Hey, don't you have a story to write? How's this? Man eats healthy food and lives.
The amazing taste of Nutrigrain's new almond raisin. It's news.
It's fun getting to the bottom of one. It's fun getting to the bottom of one. White Mountain Cooler, cooler, keeping it light, cooler, crisp and refreshing. It's got the taste that's always right. It's fun getting to the bottom of one.
Original and new orange. It's time. Time for a credit card that gives you a better deal.
The Discover card.
With the new Discover card, you don't have to pay an annual fee. In fact, we pay you with money back on everything you buy. Money you can apply against your balance.
On the way to buying that right tomorrow. The Discover card puts money in a whole new life.
From a member of Sears Financial Network. Look for more information in the mail or in national magazines. Clint Eastwood and his son Kyle.
Oh.
They're stepping out.
You'd like to go down to Nashville with your old Uncle Red?
Living life on the edge. Passing down a legacy.
Gonna stay at the Grand Ole Opry?
And fighting for a dream.
I don't think you have any shells in that shotgun.
The best. It's an unforgettable network television premiere.
That's the life of a country singer.
Honky Tonk Man. 1 week from tonight.
Why change a good thing? That's what I asked when Oldsmobile redesigned the Delta 88. Oh, then I drove it. Wait till you see how it handles. It's front-wheel drive, too. But inside, plenty of room to stretch. Our Delta 88 is the family car that didn't forget the family. some things never change.
Borrow the car, Dad?
Some things never change.
6.9 financing on new Delta 88s. Finance rates will be higher as length of contract increases.
Irons are now Black & Decker. Travel line that goes in style. Keeping fresh press every mile. Black & Decker. Well clean and you can't go wrong. Nothing else will work as long. Irons are now Black & Decker. And here's a line if you leave it on.
I'm sorry, but I don't want to be an emperor. That's not my business. I don't want to rule or conquer anyone. I should like to help everyone if possible. Jew, Gentile, black man, white. We all want to help one another. Human beings are like that. We want to live by each other's happiness, not by each other's misery. We don't want to hate and despise one another. In this world, there's room for everyone, and the good earth is rich and can provide for everyone. The way of life can be free and beautiful, but we have lost the way. Greed has poisoned men's souls, has barricaded the world with hate, has goose-stepped us into misery and bloodshed. We have developed speed, but we have shut ourselves in. Machinery that gives abundance has left us in want. Our knowledge has made us cynical, our cleverness hard and unkind. We think too much and feel too little. More than machinery, we need humanity. More than cleverness, we need kindness and gentleness. Without these qualities, life will be violent, and all will be lost. The aeroplane and the radio have brought us closer together. The very nature of these inventions cries out for the goodness in men, cries out for universal brotherhood, for the unity of us all. Even now, my voice is reaching millions throughout the world, millions of despairing men, women, and little children, victims of a system that makes men torture and imprison innocent people. To those who can hear me, I say, do not despair. The misery that is now upon us is but the passing of greed. The bitterness of men will fear the way of human progress. The hate of men will pass, and dictators die. And the power they took from the people will return to the people. And so long as men die, liberty will never perish. Soldiers, don't give yourselves to brutes. Men who despise you, enslave you, who regiment your lives, tell you what to do, what to think, and what to feel, who drill you, diet you, treat you like cattle, use you as cannon fodder. Don't give yourselves to these unnatural men, machine men with machine minds and machine hearts. You are not machines, you are not cattle, you are men. You have the love of humanity in your hearts. You don't hate, only the unloved hate, the unloved and the unnatural. Soldiers, don't fight for slavery, fight for liberty. In the 17th chapter of St. Luke it is written, the kingdom of God is within man, not one man nor a group of men, but in all men, in you. You, the people, have the power to create machines, the power to create happiness. You, the people, have the power to make this life free and beautiful, to make this life a wonderful adventure. Then in the name of democracy, let us use that power. Let us all unite. Let us fight for a new world, a decent world, that will give men a chance to work, that will give youth a future and old age a security. By the promise of these things, brutes have risen to power, but they lie. They do not fulfill that promise. They never will. Dictators free themselves, but they enslave the people. Now let us fight to fulfill that promise. Let us fight to free the world, to do away with national barriers, to do away with greed, with hate and intolerance. Let us fight for a world of reason, a world where science and progress will lead to all men's happiness. Soldiers, in the name of democracy, let us all unite!